As the weather starts to change, the temperatures are dropping, and it's time to start talking about some colder weather backpacking tips. Now, we're going to run through a bunch of different tips to help keep you warm and comfortable when you're out there on trail when temperatures start to dip. One of my favorite ways at warming myself up when I'm in camp on a cold backpacking trip is just simply having a warm drink. I have a little Ziploc bag inside my food bag that's got a whole bunch of different drink mixes, like some Crystal Light juice mixes, and I carry a bunch of different hot chocolates and teas, and just gives me a bunch of different flavors to pick from. And it's not uncommon for me to have like 2 or 3 different hot chocolates throughout the course of an evening. I love having a warm drink to warm up my body. I find it just, warms me from the inside out. It's fantastic. Plus, that little bit of flavor boost is really nice for the mental aspect on a cold weather trip. When it comes to clothing for a cold weather backpacking trip, the best system to use is a layering system. I know a lot of people seem to think just having a big bulky winter jacket and big bulky snow pants is going to keep you warm. And while that may do the trick, you also run the risk of being too warm and then you end up sweating inside your clothes. But a good quality layering system, starting with a high quality base layer and then some mid layers. I always go for fleece in the winter time. I find just a layering system helps me really dial in how warm I want to be for, the expected temperatures and the temperatures that I'm dealing with. I feel really dumb for bringing this one up because I just went through my gear closet and I actually don't have any, so I need to restock. But those little hot hands, the little hand warmers, they come in a little packet that's like that big. You tear them open, you shake them up, you throw them inside your pocket. I don't suggest taking those on a backpacking trip to rely on them to keep you warm. But, if temperatures get cold like they are going to, just having a set of those, thrown into your pockets where you can dip your hands in and warm your hands up. Or a lot of people have gloves that have like little Velcros on the back. You can like stuff those inside there. They are great for that. They're awesome inside your boots for keeping your toes warm. And throughout the night, it's never a bad idea to have 1 or 2 of those just kind of stashed throughout your sleep system. I usually like having one. If I'm going to use one, I tuck it right into my lower back. I just find that's a really key spot for me. If I get heat in there, it's going to warm through my whole body. So the hot hands work really well. There also is rechargeable versions out there. I had previously tested one from Okupa. I actually don't even know where it is at this point, but that does work really well. So, the rechargeable options for the hand warmers, they work just as good. Now, this one may seem really, really simple. And if you're like me, you're going to wonder, why didn't I think of this first? But a couple years ago, hiking with some friends, my friend Kirsten was heating up her meal. She had poured the hot water in her dehydrated meal and she had sealed it up. And she is always cold. Like, she's just one of these people. She's always cold. So she takes her dehydrated meal and she puts it inside her jacket and zips it up. And just the look on her face of just like sheer joy from the warmth that this rehydrated meal was like providing her body as it was rehydrating itself. That's become a thing that I do on every winter trip now. Whenever I've got my dehydrated meal, as soon as the hot water's poured in, I've got the bag sealed up, inside the inside pocket of my jacket it goes. It kind of serves 2 purposes. It's going to use the heat from the rehydrated meal that it's putting off, and that's going to warm your body, which is really, really nice. But it's also going to keep your food warmer because you're not going to lose heat to the colder ambient temperature from the outside as opposed to being inside your jacket. So just utilize your rehydrated meal to help keep you warm. Now, I mention this one every single year because it's one of my favorite ways of boosting warmth, but Nalgene bottle, hot water inside a wool sock. Throw that into your body, your sleeping bag. You are going to thank me later. It is amazing. Now, a big key to keeping warm when you're setting up your camp at night is the proper camp location. And it may not make for the best photos on Instagram, but if you're hiking in the wintertime and it's cold outside like it usually is, set your shelter up in the trees. It's going to serve a couple different purposes. Primarily, it's going to keep you out of the wind, which is going to make you feel warmer. And it's just, you're not going to lose body heat, and your tent's not going to be as cold because you're not getting the wind chill effect from wind whipping through. Like if you've ever walked through, the forest when it's cold outside and it's wintertime, but you feel warmer within the trees, it's because you're out of the wind. Set your shelter up in the trees, get yourself out of the wind, stay warmer. I know a lot of people don't carry sleep clothes when they backpack in the summertime, and a lot of these same people also don't carry sleep clothes in the wintertime. But in the wintertime, it's far more important to have a dedicated set of sleeping clothes, primarily to put yourself into something dry when you're crawling to bed. As much as we try to avoid it, there's always going to be moisture, and I know you don't want to sweat in the wintertime, but just, you're out hiking, you're doing work, you're going to sweat. Your base layers and stuff inside are more than likely going to have a little bit of moisture inside them. You don't want to deal with that at night. You want to give yourself the best chance at getting through the night warm. Have some dry clothes to crawl into. Another thing you can do before crawling into bed to help boost your warmth throughout the night is just eat something high in protein before you crawl into bed. Protein tends to take longer to digest, and your body puts off heat in the process of digestion. So using what your body's naturally going to do to heat yourself up and heat up your sleeping bag, why not? I always like just munching on a bunch of beef jerky before I crawl into bed. That's just kind of my go-to. But in the past, you know, I've brought chicken and stuff like that and cooked up some chicken before crawling into bed. That works just as well. But just eating something high in protein before you crawl into bed. Now, one thing that I suffer from when it comes to cold weather backpacking trips is my feet get cold. I got frostbite when I was younger in my teenage years, and just, yeah, my feet have been affected ever since. One thing that I find is if I go to bed and my feet are cold, they will not warm up. I'll wake up with cold feet in the morning if I can even fall asleep at all. So a trick that I have started using over the last couple of years that works very, very well at just warming my body up and getting my extremities and my feet warmed up is some exercises, you know, things like some jumping jacks or some push-ups or even just running on the spot. Anything to get your blood moving, you know, just it's gonna warm your body up. It's gonna get your extremities a little bit warmer. If you're anything like me, if you crawl into bed and you've got a cold part of your body, it is very, very difficult to warm that body part up inside a sleeping bag or quilt. So getting yourself warm before you crawl into bed is key. Now, a big detractor to cold weather backpacking can be the price of gear. I fully understand that as somebody who lives in northern Canada and I backpack all winter. I've got some pretty pricey cold weather backpacking gear. That was not always the case. I am pretty frugal and I'm pretty cheap, and you know, if I can find a cheap, effective way to do things, that's usually the way that I will do it. For years, I have used the simple blue foam sleeping pads that you can get at most outdoor retailers, or other people like using the accordion style ones. But just having a little pad like this to put underneath your summer rated sleeping pad can really help boost the warmth of that pad. And in some cases, I've actually taken summer rated or 3-season sleeping pads into deep cold winter temperatures like -30 below, just using one of these underneath. Like last winter, -30, I used one of these underneath my ZenBivy ultralight sleeping pad. Slept very, very warm. Like the pad was warm to the touch when I got up in the morning. And just like sleeping pads, using multiple quilts or sleeping bags to kind of stack them and get yourself through a colder night does work as well. That has kind of been my go-to for years. And I've used a 20-degree quilt and then usually like a 40 or 30-degree quilt to stack with that and get myself through some ridiculously cold temperatures. So if you've got a couple different summer rated sleeping bags, don't hesitate to try, you know, obviously try this out in your backyard, figure out, you know, what setup is going to work for you for the temperatures. But stacking sleeping bags and quilts is a very, very effective way at getting yourself through a very cold night and not having to drop hundreds of dollars on winter rated sleeping bags. Now, if you watch this video to the end, obviously you are looking for some winter backpacking tips. Me being Canadian, I have done a bunch of those videos. I'll pop a couple up here and here. Check those out when you guys are done with this one. And as always, guys, I am Maddie. Thank you guys so dang much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Let's go Oilers.